Change Islands is a place like many others here on the northeast coast. Quiet, unhurried. Its people have a deep attachment to their twin islands. They still look to the sea for their livelihood. They have to. There's not much else here to depend on. And in recent years, they've seen the fishery start to come back. But it's a different kind of fishery today. Men fish closer to home. They can sell just about anything they catch, and they can sell it fresh. Gone are the days of the Labrador fishery, the days when salt cod was king, when 50 schooners sailed north from here to fish the coves and islands of Labrador, the days of tall ships and tough men. Well, the days may be gone, and so may the ships, but not the men, and not the memories. So you started in the days of sail?
I started in the days of sail. Yes, sir.
Must have been quite a time.
Oh, my son. All you want was plenty of wind. All you wanted was plenty of wind, brother. Oh, keep the wheel tight. Take it right out of her. Yeah. My first time I went fishing, I was 12 years old. That's what I was, 12 years old. Went fishing with my father. There was no such things as rubber boots then. We had a pair of short lace-up boots. That's all you'd have on, and you wouldn't have no all pants. Not likely. You'd have a barbel on, tied around, you know, and well, you cut a jacket pressed behind the father, turn the roll up the sleeves, see, when they were too long. Get that around there and get it buttoned up and come the rain. That's the life. That's how I started. But now, if you ain't got a suit of rubber clothes, now you'll be nobody. And a pair of rubbers up to your throat.
It must have been a great feeling to be young and be in a sailing vessel.
Oh, my son, and look forward to it in the spring of the year. You know, you look forward to that stuff. The spring in May month now, you go in collar, they call it, see? You go in this corner, you go in collar now in May, what they call it. Trap the back, the traps, paint the schooner, let the heave sheet down, door bottom, all this kind of stuff. You know?
Why did people go to Labrador now? Wasn't there enough grounds around
Well, that was handed down from generation to generation. You know, they started it off in the early years, see? And this fella got a schooner, and he done all right, and then the other fella gets one, and this is how she went on, you know, year after year like that. Boy, they had there was a lot of schooners. And they get men, you know, from Gander Bay, Harwood, and Bites Cove, and all up around, everywhere.
There'd be a lot of you sail out of here in the spring.
Oh, yes, up here in this up in this harbour up here. That was full, you see, 7 or 8, 10 schooners probably going out from that, see, this spring.
All sail?
All sail, no motor. They have motor in their motorboat now, probably. But no motor in the schooner.
Must have been quite a sight.
Oh, my God, yes. Get out there now, rape so I had to hoist them sails, you know. Flag up there to the top, and you'd leave.
I suppose we'll never see.
Gone then for probably a couple of months. Get back with a load of fish, perhaps a little bit earlier than that. Some fellas managed to get 2 trips, see, in the 1 year. You get anywhere from $1.80, $1.50, $1.80 a candle for Labrador fish. Yes. I caught it shore for cure. Made shore cured fish for $2.50 a candle.
Yet you say it was a good time. It was a good life.
There was nobody wanted for anything, I don't think. Not too much. Then, at that time, and everybody enjoyed themselves, and when come around Christmas time, look out, you all hands together now. Perhaps it'll be 10 or 15 or 20 into a gang, see? Going from house to house, you know. Everybody with a bottle stuck in his horse pocket. They go on, they'll go in, you end up by about 3 or 4 o'clock in the morning, all hands fluke on them. Boy, we had good times. Good times. It's a better enjoyment for me then and way better than what it is now. Because I can't seem to enjoy myself now like I used to. But I used to be wonderful for dancing and stuff like that, you know. If there was a dance on, I had to be there, whatever.
Now, you fished here along shore, and you fished the French shore?
all my lifetime, and I went on the French shore, and I was on the Labrador for 4 or 5 trips on the Labrador with different people, you know. I made one trip, my own, in the Marine Rover on the French shore. Yeah, and that was a bad year. There was no fish on the Labrador. Oh, that year.
That was when the fishery was on the way out, I suppose.
Oh, yes, it was on the way out.
Some of the schooners from here now fished fairly far north, too, didn't they?
Oh, some of them went way north, you know, way north. I was never below Indian Harbour. I fished there.
Some went to Sedlak, I believe.
Oh, down to Sedlak, yes, and all down around there everywhere. Yeah, some for the farmyards and all that.
And there's only 2 of the schooner men left, or 2 of the skipper men, I should say.
That's all. There's Billy Off now and Ray Scammell. That was one of the last ones. I think that's the last schooner that sailed of this.
Skipper Ray Scammell, a quiet, unassuming man. The last to command a vessel here in Change Islands. He's retired from the sea now and spends his days here and visiting with his family, scattered now all over the province. But Change Islands is still home port to Captain Ray. Here he was born and raised. Here he built his vessels and sailed them north to Labrador.
Yes, I would say from this community I was the last one down there. Yeah, after a good many years. I started when I was 12 years old, the first time I went away with my father, in a little schooner he had called the Evening Star. And we went, that summer we went over the Grey Islands, Grey Island Harbour, and found a lot of fish there. And we got our load in very short time. And came back and took it out, and that was in the middle of the summer, and I wanted to go away again because there's a new experience for me and I enjoyed it, but I had to stay home and go to school. So that was the end of that. Or the next year he had another one. In fact, that one was lost in the fall. Some people here went in the bay to cut some firewood, and they upset her coming down, so she was lost. And the next year then he had one belonged to Elliott and Company called the Tugela. So we went to the Grey Islands and got our fish again that summer. But we didn't make the second trip because she was a larger boat and took a bit longer to load her. But there was still a great lot of fish. Now, if I remember rightly, that summer there was 25 schooners in the harbour of the South Grey Islands. And a far cry from what it was years after that, because never any schooners go there. The fish was too scarce, and everybody had to go further north and kept going further north. So that's how the Labrador fishery progressed. Seemed like the fish got scarcer as the years went by.
Well, now there's speedboats all over Change Islands. I suppose you can remember when there were lots of sail here.
Yes. Well, now, when I came along, there was around 25 here then, but the people before that told me that there was around 50 here in Change Islands. Schooners that sailed the Labrador. All these coves right up and down the Tickle was nothing but a forest of spars right up and down.
It must have been quite a sight to see all those vessels.
My dear man, some good to look at, because the vessels that would be coming down from South Bonavista Bay, Trinity Bay and the Straight Shore, get down here to Seldom. And that would be the harbour, and some would come on and get through to what they call Change Island Inn, and they'd harbour there. And then probably the next morning or next morning after, it would be a good time along, and you'd look up here in the run then, and the schooners would be as thick as ever they could stow. Beautiful sight. All these white sails and brown sails going out, no motors at that time. Sometimes you could hardly see through them with this line of vessels going out with their motorboats in tow, going to Labrador. But all that's a past era.
Now, after your Grey Islands fishing, you went to Labrador yourself, did you?
Yes, I went to the Labrador. I went with my father then for several years. In fact, I was with him nearly all this time after that. He was the captain for several years. But I was having more lip into it then, perhaps I shouldn't. So one spring when I came down then, there at the wharf and getting our bedding aboard for the summer's voyage, he had my bed put over in the captain's room. So I said, boy, I don't want that, Father. You better go on. No, he said, it's time for you now to take charge of it, he said. I'll go mate with you. So that was the first start of my taking charge.
That was a proud day.
Yeah, that was a proud day, yes. In fact, it was. But now we didn't have to have any ticket or anything like that up to that pass. But now after we got in Confederation, I had to go to school in St. John's and like a good many more to get my master's ticket, which I got, and I continued on after that. Had my own schooner built and continued on until I retired.
What was it like in Labrador in those days? There were a lot of vessels from all over Newfoundland, I suppose?
A lot of vessels from all over Newfoundland, yes. And one trying to get ahead of the other then to get the best berths to put the cod traps in. In some cases, get them so far and motorboat would leave with some of the trap equipment and 3 or 4 of the crew and go on and on and on and on and get down where they were going and take their berths. Probably it was headwinds or ice or something like that. Well, the motorboats could worm in around shore and in the coves and get on down as far as they were going.
A real race for the fishing grounds.
Oh, it was a real race. It certainly was, yeah. Yes.
Has it been a good life?
Yes, been a good life. Interesting. Those times was tough, but we didn't mind it. This was it. A lot of times there was never a dollar. And you wanted one real bad, but there was always some way around it and always get by. The bad with the good. And if I had to live it over again, I think I'd take the same life again. It was interesting, yeah. Don't mind hard work, you know. Enjoy that too, yeah. I think the body is something like a motor engine. It is better in use than what it is lying up.
But the days of canvas and tall ships were numbered. Engines came. No need for long spars anymore. The last vessel Captain Ray had was the St. Margaret. She was the last of the fleet of Change Island vessels to sail north.
That was the last one to sail from here, yes. That was the last one.
Where did she spend the last of her days?
Well, I had her lying up here after I retired for a couple of years, and I painted her and cleaned her up, and my wife thought a lot about her, you know, like it was one of our children, because we had her built, cut the material ourselves, and I worked on her myself. Had her built in Summerford, in a place called Wiseman's Cove, on the back of Summerford in Dildo Run. We had her built just after we were married, and my wife always figured that she was one of the children of the family.
So you finally sold her, did you?
Yes, I finally sold her. There was a man and his family came here one summer looking for a vessel to make a pleasure yacht out of. So when they got to this one and seeing how nice she was and clean, looked in very good order, he examined her, went in on the stern timbers and tried her in there and all that. But she was good because I had her kept salted in there all through the years, and I always put salt in there every fall or spring. So he decided that he'd buy her. I told him a price that I'd like to have for her. So he was satisfied with that. So he made a down payment on her then. The agreement was for us to take her to Clarenville that fall, late that summer. So I got 3 more fellows here, so we sailed her up to start up the motors and went to Clarenville and tied her on the wharf there. And the next spring he came down and took her, he finished paying for her.
That must have been a sad day to see her go.
It was, yes, yeah, it was. And my wife, she couldn't stay here. She went right on down the other end of the island, down to a Mrs. LeDrew that kept a little business down there, and that's where she went on till the boat was gone out of the tickle. Yeah.
I must go down to the sea again, to the lonely sea and the sky, and all I ask is a tall ship and a star to steer her by, and the wheels kick and the wind's song and the white sails shaking, and a grey mist on the sea's face, and a grey dawn breaking. You missed the days of sail. Now you're one of the last of the sailing skippers here.
Oh, sure do. Yeah, sure do.
What was it like then?
Yeah, it was, well, you leave here, perhaps you leave here 2 or 3 schooners. Well, we're bound for Cincinnati now, wherever we can get first, night or 2, or perhaps across the continent somewhere. We'll leave here 3 or 4 of us. Well, then, who will be the best man and get there first? Huh? We all got a certain place to go in our minds, you know. But
on the coast of Labrador?
On the coast of Labrador. We want to some place you've got in your mind. But you can get in there if you can't get there away out here.
So whoever had the best...
Then perhaps you get down to Cincinnati, well, God, there's the fleet there. There's 50 or 60 schooners there in Cincinnati. And White Sam was another place where they'd hang up when the ice net was around. There was a time. They get the wind offshore then. Everything says, my God, and canvas flying now. Get it all on her. Whatever she can stand. I used to have a little one called Eve Across. She's about 18 tons. She had her balloon jib and gaff tops on the top of the station. When you get it all on her, she could haul on through them. She could haul on through her 20 and 30 or 40 ton ones then. Sometimes the fish get it, you know, went to too hard. When it was hard, certainly you had slack canvas. The big ones were getting up on you then. But get just a nice slashing breeze. She could do her work, yeah.
The pride these men have is understandable, for they are the last of an era, the last of a breed. Look closely at this picture, at the line of spars just behind the breakers. There must be 100 schooners in there, waiting their turn to dash north. This was in the 30s, on the coast of Labrador, and the photographer was Monsignor O'Brien of Harbour Grace, on his way north on the Kyle. Little did he know at the time he was capturing on film a part of a great northern saga, the migration of thousands of Newfoundlanders north to the fishing grounds of Labrador. It was an era that was already beginning to fade. What happened to the Labrador fishery now? Why did you give it up?
Well, I gave it up in 1949. It seemed like the guts went right out of it in 1 year. That was the year of Confederation. I don't know of Confederation, and nobody ever could tell me what was the cause. Because the Bonneville Bay people, I knew a lot of them, all the Blackwoods and all that. And everybody the same story, just had to quit. And they were getting good power in their schooners. And you had some of them, you see, go on to Labrador, then they had these red Indians and that, you wouldn't know if they're a coaster or a fisherman. Their dick loaded with oil, eh? It cost a lot, but, you know, they get there quicker and come back quicker. They'd come home to get it in fall, well, while the fishing making, they could do a bit of coaster and that. They make up for the expenses that way.
But the price just dropped, did it?
The price slumped. The price just slumped. Well, what we was told then, all like together, if you go away and get a load of fish, you come home and just get enough to square up your bills and had nothing for the winter, so nothing that.
But now the people here are doing pretty good with the trap fishery these days, aren't they? Isn't that just as good a way to make a living now as...
What, here, I know you?
Yeah.
Yes, it's just a living, but we got a kick out of this going away. You see, the Labrador, we only a couple of months gone from the women, that I suppose. Yeah, but it seemed like, you know, not the same fishing around there. You was home here, there's obviously something to do with the women always find a job, cut a bit of grass or haul a few weeds out of the gardens. Geez, they're murdering the flies and that. But you get down there, you get a blustery day, well, you could fool around and sleep in for a while and have a scattered nap and all this. You know, not the same.
So it wasn't all hard work down there?
Oh, God, no. It was hard work while you was at it. But, I don't know, the work you didn't tire at that much. You take going to the factory, the one thing over day after day after day, the same damn thing. I had a year up in Toronto in 1950. Well, I just got poisoned. I knew what my job was in the morning, the same thing over and over and over and over and over. But with that, well, you went up in the morning, you go out, haul your cod trap. Next thing you were dipping in fish. The next thing you were sat on your backside, steaming in, lying back, taking it easy. Well, you get in, you prong up your boatload of fish, or about half a boatload first. When you get that prong up, cook sing out breakfast. That's it. You go down and have your feed, and you come up and you start splitting then.
Did you lose any vessels?
Lost 2. And upset too. Yeah.
So there's some hard times
Yeah,
too.
hard times, yeah.
Was that in storm?
Yeah, I lost one of the storm in the Easter tickle in Fogo. Coming up from Labrador down the second trip, and it was up in October, around 10th October, I suppose, stormy weather. And we got up to Ingley and left Ingley one day, barring the wind western. And come on across the bay, we didn't see any land or anything, got sick of that. So the wind was southern and we keep on racing out that we come on in there for change islands or Fogo land. And when we did sight land, we were down at Fogo Islands, little Fogo Islands. Well, we all around the wind, and the wind chopped in from down the west, I suppose. And we could hardly vetch up around. And the sea over with it, mountains, sea and wind. We had a living, and by and by it got dark. We come into western Fogo Islands, and everything breaking as we went. So we couldn't fetch around Fogo Head, so we go try the Fogo tickle, the Easter tickle of Fogo. That we fetch on up through, you know. But just as she shot in through, we got a squall wind, took her in the head sail, and she fell off, and she made right for the cliff. That was it. Yeah, so she stayed in there, we had the mainsail on, she stayed in, head on, running back and forth, so I got the boys out. There was 4 of them, beside, yes, 4 of them, and then we had a young fella. A young fella, Brenton, away his first trip. Going to cook for us. So I told the boys, watch out for the young fella now, we're going to stand ashore, so he jumped out. And I jumped out myself. Hell with it now, it was gone. And then I thought about my pants, a pair of blue serge pants. I hung up my cabin with a $20 bill in my pocket. I got a $20 bill or something then. Well, I jumped back on their bowsprit again and ran after the cabin. Everything was breaking now right on over, you know, the seas were breaking right over. So I grabbed me pants off the hook and threw them over my arm and made the run out over the bowsprit again. And just as I jumped out on the cliff, away goes the bowsprit, jibs, and the whole darn shooting match. And she shot her up and went and drifted on down the tickle. Yeah, just nick and nothing. Yeah.
Tall ships and tough men. Men who took the worst the Atlantic could toss at them with a laugh and a prayer. The days of sail, of hard work and adventure, of heartbreak and excitement. A time to remember, a time to be proud of. But life goes on here at Change Islands. We'd better hurry to the church or we'll be late for Charlie Watton's wedding. Here's Dorcas, Charlie's bride, a charming lady.
Charles, you have this woman to be your wedded wife, to live together according to God's ordinance in the holy state of matrimony. Will you love her, comfort her, honor and keep her, in sickness and in health, and forsaking all other, keep thee only unto her so long as you both shall live?
I will.
Dorcas, will you have this man to be your wedded husband?
Meanwhile,
To live together
outside the
according
church,
to
a
God's
small
ordinance
artillery
in
is
the holy
gathering.
state of matrimony.
Don't
Will you
worry,
love him,
these aren't
comfort
Charlie's
him,
enemies,
honor
they're
and
his
keep him,
friends.
in sickness
And they're
in
about
health,
to revive an old
forsaking
tradition.
all other, keep thee only unto him so long as you both shall live.
I will.
And so land and sea reluctantly bid goodbye to Change Islands and the good people we'd met there. We said goodbye to the men and women, both young and old, who so freely shared their stories, their feelings with us, and who showed us what a rich and colorful place their island was and still is.